an honor and a privilege to be saying a good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time, Dr. Laura Fisher. It's so good to be with you this morning.
Morning, Jonathan.
So the workplace rewarding extroverted behavior because of that bias towards action rather than contemplation or thinking. However, there are people in the workspace that are more introverted. And of course, that can be challenging to navigate the workspace environment. Somebody who heads up the institutional advancement of Boston City campus, joining us now on the line and helping us to unpack the optimizing your journey, especially if you're an introvert, in the workspace. Dr. Laura, let's get started, and let's start off with going into what is being an introvert. Can you define that for us, please?
Yeah, morning, Jonathan. I'll have to define it by just starting off by saying that anyone who knows me, who's listening to the show, will know that I am a complete extrovert by nature. So I'm speaking just about introversion, knowing my dear introvert colleagues quite well, and just start by saying that introversion really is a basic personality style. It's characterized by a preference for inner life. Oh, sorry about that.
The telephone's phoning.
Shame. Characterized by a preference for the inner life of mind over the outer life of world, and the world of people, really. And Susan Cain, who wrote a very famous book called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Just Can't Stop Speaking, said that introverts really just have a nervous system that reacts more when there's stuff going on around us. So for introverts, an introvert just feels that the world is a lot louder and a lot more in your face than the extrovert who is able to kind of roll with that. And compared to extroverts, introverts really enjoy a more peaceful, gentler, quieter, solitary, contemplative existence than the typical extrovert does.
We definitely live in a world which rewards extroverts. How can a person who leans more towards being an introvert navigate the workplace effectively?
Yeah, I mean, I think you are so right. The world has increasingly become obsessed with personality almost, and a personality style over really what is character, and often what is gold character. And so introverts have to navigate first their own internal realization that although they are introverted and don't necessarily live up to this extrovert kind of ideal that the world would like them to comply with necessarily, they need to lean in and navigate their world in a way where they optimize and find space for quiet and solitude, while still really showing up and not being afraid to lead and to tap into the superpower of the introvert, which is that there's a character of gold there. And often there's a weightiness and a contemplativeness about an introvert that really demands that one actually listens to the world of an introvert and learns from the introvert's perspective.
And of course, there are some careers that are better suited for introverts. So talk to us about those, please.
Yeah, I think that what I would like to say is that perhaps the biggest career success and the best career for an introvert is really finding a role that fits your own internal needs. And in broad brushstrokes, introverts are generally thought to prefer the intellectual, aesthetic spaces in life, and often prefer positions and careers that allow them to operate more autonomously, or in companies that allow them to work more flexibly or in quieter settings. And the career pathing for an introvert. Not that there's typical careers that introverts have to follow and extroverts have to follow, but introverts have to find roles that fit their needs. And part of that is that they often prefer, as we've spoken, the more contemplative, quieter, gentler, subdued roles compared to the more public domain, cutthroat, corporate roles. So good examples in some of the courses that we offer here at Boston, for example, accounting, bookkeeping, but also graphic design, marketing, management, human resources. There isn't differentiation in terms of necessarily what career path is the right career path for an introvert, but it's about navigating your introversion in whatever career you choose to go into.
That is brilliant. If you've just joined the conversation, we're chatting to Dr. Laura Fisher. She's the head of institutional advancement at Boston City campus, and we're dealing with the topic of being an introvert and navigating the workplace and the workspace and that environment, because typically the workplace rewards and is more kind of attuned to extroverted individuals. So it's very important as an introvert to realize that, and then also for managers, for leaders, for business owners to bear that in mind. Let's also then talk about just some of the myths around being an introvert, and let's bust some of those preconceived ideas, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I think I was speaking to someone who asked me just before an interview that I had the other day on this very topic. He said to me, he's introverted and he's very shy, and so can he do great things with his life? And I think that that is one of the biggest myths that I want to bust, and that is that firstly, just because you're an introvert doesn't necessarily mean that you are shy. Shyness has got much more to do with discomfort and anxiety in situations involving social interaction. And it can be something that introverts do struggle with because they may not feel as confident and as at ease around people. But all introverts are not necessarily shy. And by implication, what I'm saying is that you can't say, oh, because I'm an introvert and because I'm shy, can I then do great things? Well, of course you can do great things. There's another myth. You can do whatever it is you want to do because you have an innate superpower, and that is your introversion. There's a contemplation, there's a deep thought, and there's a character behind introversion that often allows for introverts to be incredible leaders, incredible public speakers. So the myth that introverts don't make good leaders or good public speakers, many introverts excel, in fact, in roles that involve leading other people. And throughout history, we've seen countless leaders who have been classified as introverts who actually have been well suited to the leadership roles that they have taken up because their character just shines through. And there's many more. I don't know if there's any particular ones that you would like us to speak about.
No, we're actually sadly running out of time, Dr. Laura, but I think it's so helpful, just what we've touched on, and really, really important that if you are an introvert, that you find career guidance advice, that you approach it and kind of realize that certain industries are more in line perhaps, or better suited for you. So that's very important. Dr. Laura Fisher from Boston City campus, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for chatting to us about this very, very interesting topic.
Pleasure, no problem. Have a good day, Jonathan.
You too.